All right, thank you so much. The program is still much alive here this morning on ITV, and I did tell you that we're going to look at two key main issues today, talking about the planned visits to troubled states in the country, namely Bauchi, Rivers, Benue, and of course Taraba State. Well, on Monday, the president was in Taraba State, to be precise, in Jalingo, where he met with the executives in the states, talking about the governor and of course some other key stakeholders there. And the president, really gave the mandate that traditional rulers should make sure that the issue of these killings should really be something that should be tackled right from the traditional, viewpoint or standpoint. But against that now, some have said that the president, rather than trying to give a kind of advisory measures, the president should try as much as possible to reconcile warring fractions. Because if you look at some of these troubled states, it's always issues, allegations of issues that people are not just getting together in terms of what they do. Communal clashes here and there. So people have said that instead of the president to just go and give advice, and the president should try as much as possible to call stakeholders to see how, warring sides can really be, advised to come together. Well, that was on Monday now, and of course on Tuesday, yesterday, the president was in Ghana, and hopefully he might just come back today to the country, and so that he will continue. All the states that are slated for the visits are Benue, River State, and also Adamawa there. So the president will just go through all the states. But the most recent of it now, we understand that just this morning, it's on papers, on some of our major papers, that 26 people have just been killed in Benue. And that's, very, very sad to know that despite efforts by the presidency and, of course, some of these state governors, to see that this issue of cattle herdsmen becomes a thing of the past, we are still recording more killings in some of these troubled states, most especially in the northeast. Well, it's something that all of us saw. We try as much as possible to see how this issue can really be put behind us. We're going to be looking at that much more later as the discussion progresses. And also, I did tell you that as we speak now, 18 local government chairmen have been elected and, of course, sworn in Edo State. And, of course, we have their various councillors too. And yesterday, we also watched in our news where some of the chairmen had to swear in their councillors and also appoint their secretaries and some other key officials in these councils. Well, for us here is to make sure that we set agenda, because the truth of the matter is that we must begin to discuss issues here, because these guys, they watch, they listen, and of course they hear us. So in setting agenda for this newly elected local government chairmen and councillors, we are privileged to have architect Thaddeus Irabo, who of course is the youth leader of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State. So you're welcome to the program this morning on
Thank you very much.
And also we're expecting Mr. John Osazua. He's a lecturer with the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, University of Benin, here in Benin State. So he's going to be part of this discussion today so that we can begin to set agenda for these guys. Architect, you're welcome one more time to the program. I cannot be asking how you saw the election, because your party, though, was not part of the election, but you also probably witnessed the election. But let's leave that now, because the election has come and gone. But even at that, we must begin to set agenda, because we all live in various localities.
Yeah.
You know, these guys, as they stand now, they govern us. So when we talk about setting agenda, where do you think we can really start from?
I think I would love to take us back a little. If you call it an election, I think we'll be getting it wrong. I think we should use the word selection.
No, but that does not change the fact now that these guys have been sworn.
Selection and it's not an election.
No, well, that's your opinion.
For there to be an election, there must be a contest between two persons or two parties. Right now, there was a fundamental issue on ground, which is already before the court, which I think any responsible government would have said, okay, let's leave this election, let's handle this issue, so that the people will get the best to represent them. As you speak, I don't think there was primary even in their party, because we could see.
But you are not part of the APC,
no,
so you cannot.
At least I'm in Edo State. I live here, and I have friends in the APC also. There was no primaries; it was just selection. And at the end of the day, the PDP challenged the process of the people that is making up the INEC. But at the same time, they went ahead with the election. And thank God we declared sit at home. And we saw what happened. Although people saw what happened, that in each polling unit, you can't get more than 2 or 3 persons to vote. But surprisingly, I was even shocked to see that some local government recorded over 50, like Oredo, they said 53,000 voters. And I was wondering where these people came out from. Or because there was free movement everywhere. We moved van, and there was nothing like that. So I was surprised. Even when the national chairman of APC came to his polling unit, you saw Chief John Odijo Yegun going to cast his vote. You see, he was the only person there.
Yeah.
He was the only person there.
Just speak on that.
So yeah. I think it's election and not an election. Anyways, we can move forward after that.
Yes, just like what I said, that we've gone past that now, except the fact that your party is in court with the case. So we'll have to wait and see to the determination of, that litigation by the PDP in court. Now, let's begin to set agenda, for this new governments. 18 local governments in the states, 18 local government chairmen, and of course, we have various councillors representing and heading various wards. So when we say setting agenda, because the local government, it's so important that if we get government rights at the local level, it's possible that the state governor may not just be having issues and problems to handle anymore. So where do we really begin to set agenda from?
I guess when the Bible said when the foundation is 40, what can the righteous do? If you were elected under the right circumstances, that you knew you actually competed for this and you won from your party level and then to the general election, I think it will be, then you have to interface with the people. As it is right now, we were picked from the top and you were dropped on your local government. And as it is, local government should have been the last bus stop between the people and the government. It's the closest. It's like bringing government to the doorstep.
Are you saying that these chairmen, they are not from the localities that they govern now? Oh,
I'm not saying they're not from the locality. For example, the person representing Oredo, we all know that he came from abroad.
No, but is he a citizen? Is he from Oredo?
He is, no doubt. I'm not disputing that. But what I'm saying is that when you have people on ground, people that have seen the sufferings of their locality, that are now elected to be the chairman, you see the difference. You will see the difference in the way they will tackle issues. And you know, okay, you actually deserve where you are. Then you feel you owe the people a lot to deliver for them. But as it is right now, I don't see them owing anybody because there was no an election, there was no primaries. They're just there to satisfy the interests of their political godfather. That's what I think.
Yeah, but let me ask the question one more time. Let us begin to set agenda for these guys. Now, in the last local administration we saw in Edo State, we have issues that bordered on inability of some local government councils to pay salary. Some roads were not tarred. Basic infrastructures were being denied. So looking at all this, where do we think that these new local government chairmen, councillors should start from?
I guess first, we appeal to the government, the state government, to allow funds to go directly from federal down to the local government. That's why we've been talking about local government autonomy. That's when you actually have the ability to manage the resources. Not when resources are not given to you directly, the resources are being managed for you. They only give you some to pay salaries. So I don't really see them doing a lot, knowing that there is no autonomy yet. If there was an autonomy, I think we can now task them on the duty to do. But be that as it may, you know there are a lot of battles in Edo State, especially now that rainy season is just stepping in. We need to see how they can tackle the issue of bad road, provide water, because I think we've missed all these things over time. Normally, we used to have tap-bomb water that flows in every house. Right now, we've gone to the stage where you see borehole in respective buildings, which is also causing environmental hazard to everybody. So let's see how we can go back to the roots. Let's see how we can change things, coming from the federal and down to the local government. That's my submission.
So for you, the money that they get should just come directly from
to them. That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Okay. Now let us also look at another problem that another issue that probably make local governments chairmen not to perform. You have situations whereby a local government chairman may have an agenda in mind. Then, of course, you have the party leaders. Even just as the governors swore these guys in on Monday, on Monday, to be precise now, the governor gave a stern warning that local governments, party leaders at local levels should stay clear. But again, this is politics, and you cannot say that these people at times that they should not probably reap the dividend of their hard work. So what's your advice to this chairman looking at all this?
I would love to advise them. First, you are the one that is being elected or selected, as the case may be. Everything will boil down to you, and your generation to come. Posterity will judge you for every step that you take right now, not minding the way you assumed office, whether the party leaders played a major role, because we knew that party leaders were asked to bring names. Obviously, you'll be loyal to somebody, but that shouldn't mortgage what you should have done for your people. Do what you can do so that posterity will judge you well. That's my advice for them.
Okay. Now, also, the councillors at the ward also have responsibility to. I think the councillors are so important because that is the last doorstep of governance. From the ward, you get to the local governments. From local government, you get to the state. Now, the councillors, how do we begin to also set agenda for them?
With what I can see, I think the whole thing is muzzle up. Why did I say that? If you are looking at councillors, for example, they should have been the one that interfaced with the last people at the grassroots. But as it is right now, most of them, they don't even have the ability to influence any project. Let's go back memory lane when council used to be council, where you could have a chairman doing a lot of construction work. Like my local government, for example, John Yakubu did a lot of job when he was local government chairman. He did a lot of roads, built the staff quarters that we are using in our local government, built the police station. Then local government was very, very viable. Let's rewind forward when APC government came into place. And they just left office now. Then Samobo, what was his name? Honorable Samobo. He couldn't do a lot because resources are not given to them directly the way it should be. He managed to build the market in our place by partnering with the community to do that. And at the same time, it was very, very difficult. And I guess that's the only project he did for the past 3 years, because resources are not given the way it should be. So even the councillors, I wonder what they can do. It's just the way it is right now. It's just, if you're elected as a councillor, that means it's for you to empower yourself. Because I've not seen any councillor that have done any meaningful project lately. It's just, okay, maybe you're elected, you could buy a bike for yourself or build a house for yourself. I guess that's how it has turned to, not to empower the people that you're actually representing, because resources are not even given to you.
Now, what really are the duties of the councillors?
First, I think it's to represent their people, make law, serve as check to the chairman, because they are like, assume they are like the legislative arm of that executive.
Local, yeah.
But as it is, because the chairman does not answer to them anymore because of the way things have been done, you have to even lobby the chairman to get anything. The same thing that have happened to the state assembly, where anything the governor says is fine, and that's the same thing that have happened to our councillors. So whatsoever the chairman says, that's final. And if you object to it, that means you suffer for the next 3 years.
Now, the reason why I'm asking this question, we've seen a situation in the states whereby it was as if the councillors probably forgot their role. Instead of them to handle issues that borders on their constituent projects, you know, their constituent projects here and there, we saw whereby there was a certain local government area, I can't remember now, where the councillors had to come together, and even to the extent that they had to impeach the local government chairman and all that. Now, for some people, they are not too comfortable with this kind of developments. Rather than the councillors facing constituency projects, you know, you see them, they begin to play politics. They begin to, you know, try to define what the chairman will do and what the chairman will not do. I think we also need to speak to these newly elected councillors in this regard.
The truth of the matter, the councillors are supposed to be the watchdog of the chairman. You can't say they shouldn't interfere with the governance of the local government.
Well, it should be politics. Should they play politics with that?
It's not about playing politics. It's about making laws. It's about looking at what the local government chairman is doing. It's about approving the budget of the local government chairman. It's about putting in project into that. So for you to put your project into any local government, you have to play politics. I guess that is why they are there, to represent their people, to push, to look for a way to sneak in their budget to sneak in their project into the budget. So I guess you can't take politics out of governance.
Okay.
For me, yeah.
Okay. Now, what about the area of job creation? It's also an issue at the local level. Don't you think that this local government chairman should have a role to play in creating jobs, trying to manage the resources of the local government?
Yeah, I would advise them to also diversify, look for a way of generating money internally instead of waiting for what government will bring every month. There are ways you could also engage the youth, put them into agriculture, empower them, let there be mini industries, teach them on skill acquisition where money can be coming in, because the more you set up people, the more they pay tax into your local government. Let's, for example, you train them on different career, let's say soap making, paint making, what have you, fishery. At the end of the day, when they are making sales, you can also get tax from them, and that will also boost the revenue of the local government. So I would also advise, because that's the only way you can create jobs, because the state as it is right now, they failed. They promised 20,000 jobs, 200,000 jobs. As it is, I've not seen any person that have been employed in my own local government.
But the governor, I remember when the governor was promising that, he did say that it's going to be a process. So for a process,
for a process, you should measure it with milestones. At least for the first 1 year, we would have expected to see like 30,000 jobs. Well, okay, the process just began. The next year, which it is right now, should be looking at 60,000 jobs, so that you know there is a process. If it's a process, at least we should be seeing milestones achievements that will accumulate into that. As it is, there is nothing. So I don't see what the chairman can obviously do, when even the person that has a total idea that they are going to play in, like, let me say, a governor is like an architect that has the total design, that has a master plan of what is expected to do. And your local government chairman are supposed to be your team players, people that will contribute their quota, so that your dream can be achieved. As it is right now, if you have lost direction, I don't see how your local government can put you into direction. As a leader, you should set agenda for the people. If on your own agenda you fail, I don't see what the local government can obviously do. That's my own submission.
Okay, the program is still this morning on ITV, on independent television, and of course we are looking at the newly elected local government chairmen and councillors in Edo State, setting agenda for them. And with us this morning we have architect Thaddeus Irabo, who is the youth leader of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State. We are also expecting Mr. John Osazuwa, a lecturer with the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, to also be with us on this segment, so that he can bear his mind on some of the issues that we are looking at. Now, the area of the problem of security or insecurity is almost a national issue in Nigeria today. But analysts have advocated that rather than leaving it at the federal hands, federal security operatives now, that we should really get down to the local level, that local vigilante groups should be encouraged. But again, we've seen a situation most recently that even the IG giving order to disarm some of these local vigilantes. Now, looking at all this, will this really take us further? Don't you think that, let's take Edo State as a kind of a case study now. What should be the agenda that we're going to set for this newly elected in the area of security?
I think I would advise first, you have to set up your, like you rightly said, local vigilante group, because you don't need federal government to protect your own area. Because, for example, in my own local government, I know most persons there. You have families that are known for thief, that these people, they always steal. They are known for that. You also have family that you know they are responsible. So if, for example, I'm to man that place, you know where to watch out for. They need the equipment also to also help them. Know that, okay, for my area now, I know if any new person moves in, I should know, okay, this person is new here because you actually grew up there. But bringing the police down from the north to control the affair of that place, he won't even know the people living there. He doesn't know the family. So that's where we're having this gap. That's where we're having these security challenges. If you have people in that area to man security in that area, I think the problem will be solved. Knowing fully whether you know everybody by face, you grew up with these people, you know everybody's behavior, you know any new person that is coming into that neighborhood, that this person wasn't living here, he just came in, so you have to watch out for such person. So I think it's going to be easier if we empower our local vigilante that knows everybody by name, knows some persons by face, and knows everybody's character based on antecedent that so person was caught doing this. Because if I'm a policeman, for example, I'm posted to Lagos, I'm new there, I don't know the person that committed crime before. I'll have to go through the case file to know so person is like this. But in every neighborhood, you know, okay, when this guy was growing up, he used to steal. He did this, he stole goats, so time. So whenever there's crime, you know people to go and look out for, because there are people that are known for that in each area. So I think empowering our local vigilante will be the best bet.
Okay.
To handle this.
Okay. Now, as it stands now, we have Mr. Victor Emwa Hagbon for Eastern South East Local Government area as the newly elected local government chairman. And of course, we have Augustine Okyo-Hole for Eastern Northeast, and Mr. Musa Yakubu for Exako West, and the others are Waziri Demudia Eastern Central, Mr. Patrick Agwinede Eastern West, and Mr. Ogidegbe Odia Igwebe, Sylvester Oko Oriomo, and John Achigbe Exako Central, and Mr. Eric Osanyande Ikbubaoka. And also we have Evaike Osunde Oedo. Okay. Mr. Aremi Yuao Momo Etsako East, and Ute Umoru Akoko Edo, and Destiny Nabulile Ovia Southwest, and Ogbemudia Osaze for Ovia Northeast. And others are Napoleon Agbama, elected chairman for Umude, Andrew Osigwe won in Esan, while Ogbemudia was elected winner as Ego local government chairman. And Mr. Frank Elaboya won Esan West, and so many just on and like that for the councillors too. We cannot mention the councillors' name because they are much. Now let's look at issues that borders on where this local government chairmen reside most times. You discover that it's often be reported that at times these local government chairmen, that they don't even reside in the locality in which they govern. Take, for example, the chairman in Eastern Northeast has to go to work from Benin City every day. Now, this development, this scenario does not help in any way. I mean, he's not really in tandem, with the people. So what's your own agenda in this respect?
I think government needs to be responsible in this. Like I stated earlier, when Honorable John Yakubu was elected, the first thing he did was to build Chairman's Lodge. A lot of, I think, is in every local government. I know Honorable Omi Moisili built for Igweben, Oromi John Yakubu built. If you have a lodge, I think the people should demand you stay with them, because you can't govern anybody from afar, especially now where there is security challenges everywhere. Like in my local government, we've had cases of Fulani herdsmen attacking people, killing a lot of our people. So as a chairman, you are the father of that local government. You should be there to protect them. You should be there at all times to hear their cry, to take direct complaints from them, so that you could also handle every issue that comes up. I guess it's paramount and it's a major requirement for every chairman to live in his own locality, so that the people can interface with them, relate their problem from time to time with that chairman.
What about the councillors too?
The councillors, most times, councillors are always in their home, because they are like grassroots people. They are like grassroots people, so most times they're always around.
Okay.
Except some of them that were also imposed, that don't even have a house there, it's just to settle them. So, but I know there is also a law that if you miss 2 sittings, you'll be suspended. So for that reason, I know they will always come when council was council anyways.
Okay. Now, the local government administration has, somehow bedeviled with some problems. We have situations whereby arguments come up at times, which people really constitute the local governments, the local governments in localities. Some will say that it is the chairman and the vice chairman and the secretary, while other principal officers are not part of it, the treasurer and all that. And you see that this becomes a problem at times. It thwarts the efforts of governance, smooth governance, at this local level. So do we have to allow that in this scenario, in this case?
Please come again, sir.
Yeah, what we're saying is that you have situations whereby there are arguments at times. That it is the chairman, the vice chairman, and the secretary that constitutes, local government administration. That once you have these 3 key people, every other key office, you don't have to go to them. And at times, the arguments even interfere with the smooth administration of governance in this local, government. So, how do we go about this? Should we advise such scenario in this case now, as we have the local government, the newly elected chairman?
We shouldn't. As a leader, I think you have to be a team player. That's the only way you can go far. They say you can go alone. You can go fast when you go alone, but you will go far when you go with everybody. So as a local government chairman, I would advise you call everybody, carry everybody along in every decision that you're taking. That will also help you, because ideas will always come, because there is no monopoly of knowledge. Even when you have your own agenda, you also have people, you need people to help you fine-tune it from time to time, chip in ideas on what to do. So I think just moving along, even unfortunately, even the vice chairman that you said, most times are usually not even in the picture, because they see them as threats. Any local government, over time you see that the chairman and the vice are always at loggerhead, because you think if this one kills me, I'm going to take over. For that reason, there's this gap between them.
We saw that. We saw that in the Go. We saw that in the last administration. We also saw that. I think it was in Oriomo, situation whereby the local government, the chairman and the vice, there were allegations of misunderstanding, between these 2 guys.
I think it's always like that, because one will feel insecure with the other one, knowing that, okay, this guy is just directly behind me. Most times, you'll be surprised that even the vice is more in touch with the councillors and all that. So that gives the chairman cause for worry, because if anything goes wrong and I'm being impeached, that means my vice is going to take over. So for that reason, they are usually relegated. Their ideas are not usually stick. They are always kept at a very long distance so that they won't come close.
Yeah,
so,
but at times there are also allegations that these troubles sometimes start in the state house, so that the governor, at times have to initiate some troubles in local government councils just to probably get his own, loyalists and all that.
I don't think so, because as a governor, the chairman will obviously be loyal to you. Except if it was in the case where resources are given directly, you could say he's applying one of the 48 laws of power, trying to cause problems so that he will get direct information. But this case is just the same party from federal and down to the local government, and it was even the governor that anointed most of the candidates. So I don't see why any governor want to instigate trouble or want to incite disorderliness in the council to get results, because actually there's no result. Resources are given to him. He gives them at his own discretion, and they must keep quiet so that the world should not know what is going on in the council. So I don't see that happening.
Okay, the program one more time this morning on ITV, on independent television, and we're still expecting Mr. John Osazuwa so that he can also come and bear his mind on some of the issues here. And also, I did tell you that we're going to be looking at the planned visits of the president to some troubled states in the country. And the states are Benue, Yobe, Zamfara, Rivers on his schedule. And so far, the president visited Taraba just recently, where some political analysts, have said that it's rather too late. Now, this planned scheduled visit, the PDP, your own party, has described the president's visit as a political gambit and afterthought, that the visit is rather too late. But for some, it can never be late. It's better than never. I don't know how you marry these two issues together.
Obviously, I think I'll toe the line of the PDP. The president going right now to visit the family that have beloved ones, I think is rather too late. It's an afterthought and is belated. Because right now, this family, they are trying to move on with their lives. Because I will remember, I think it's in December, when the president's son had an accident. Immediately, we saw the president in the hospital with his wife. But something happened, a major disaster that took over 188 lives. As the father of the country, which the same thing you show to your own child, that's what you should have shown to those Benue and Taraba people. You don't have to wait till when the election is approaching so that you will not lose total vote there you are going now. I think even the PD played more fatherly role by going. The national chairman was there with his ESCO. I think 3 of our governors have been there to also mourn with these people.
But don't you also see that as a political gambit?
It's not a political gambit.
Yeah, maybe just to kind of elicit.
No, in governance, you have the ruling party and you have the opposition. The opposition is a watchdog. Anything that you are not doing right, they should do it right for you. Because they are telling you that, okay, this guy is not doing this thing properly. This is the way it should be done, so that you can also consider them whenever there is an opening for an employment. Let's assume we are taking it as an office arrangement. If, for example, you are given an assignment and you are failed in that assignment, and I'm looking for a job, I come into the office and do that same job properly. When there is opening for an assignment, I know you will always want to call me that this guy came in and did this thing properly. I don't know if you get it. No, yeah. For the president to be going right now is rather too late. He's going there for political campaign, not for the people that are mourning. Because yeah, by this time, I think it happened early January and this early March, after 2 months. You couldn't go. You didn't even send your vice president to go there to represent you. Rather, you sent the IG of police to go there, and that one caused a lot of issues.
Yeah, but the IG of police is also a key person.
No, what I'm saying, let's remove it from Nigeria. If this happened in America, do you think the president of America wait till after 2 months to go and visit his citizen that he should be the father of them? I just made an instant that when his own son had an accident with our resources, he ran there, he was there throughout with his son. So what's the difference between your son that is even still alive and somebody that, because of your negligence, a lot of them lost their life and you didn't go there to visit them? I don't see any sense in him going there right
No,
now.
you cannot say so. You
No,
cannot
that
say
is the
any sense
truth.
in
I don't
him.
see any sense.
If you are saying that you are not okay, that's your own opinion, that you are not okay with the president going there, I think we'll leave it there rather than say that any sense, because we're talking about the president here.
The president have not been responsible.
No, you cannot say so.
You
are going to take back that word now.
Okay, no. Do you know what the meaning of responsibility?
Architects, please, can you take back that word?
Okay, I take it back. But
Okay,
let me define the word responsibility before others sees it in a negative light. If, for example, you are giving this show to a man to handle, you invited us here, the cameras, everything is set for you to handle. If at the same time you neglect this thing and you are sleeping inside the office, have you taken responsibility of your role? The same thing happens with the president. The number one assignment of any president is to protect life and property.
Yeah, but
of
not,
the citizens.
most especially
If,
when he also appointed people to do the job.
Yes,
now the president is not the IG.
Yeah.
The president is not the Minister of Defense. Yeah. The president is not the Minister of Interior. Yeah. The president is not the...
But let me cut you short. Do you remember during the campaign, the president said he was going to lead the war against Boko Haram, that he was a former general.
When the president was not saying that he was going to be in the forefront, that he was going to...
If you are going to lead, you don't need to go and carry weapons to lead. Leading means that you are taking charge. You are in the front row. You are giving directive. You are proactive. If at the end of the day, out of your own negligence, lives were lost, because first you were supposed to protect these people. You didn't protect them. They died at the process. And the same people that accuse them, you are the life patron of that group that attacked them, and no single statement have been released concerning Fulani.
Well, how do you mean the life patron of that group? Is the
Fulani herdsmen?
Okay.
President Buhari is their life patron.
Of Meyati, there are some Fulani cattle herdsmen that are not under the Meyati. So I think we need to really specify issues here. So except if we are talking about the Meyati cattle herdsmen here.
Whether Meyati or no Meyati, do you know which of them? Is it Meyati that is responsible for the attack? Have you caught anyone right now? Is there anyone in prison custody? Has anyone made any statement? So how do you know it's the Meyati or the other one that you're talking about?
Anyway, but you earlier on you said that it's more of a political gambit, the way your party, the PDP, has described the visit. Now, the issue of attacks in Nigeria. Now, we had some in 2014 when Goodluck Jonathan was still the president there. We had the Boko Haram attacks here and there. Now, lives were lost. We didn't see your party, your political party. In some of these attacks, the PDP was not even there to commiserate with these people. So for the PDP to be going out, don't you think that the PDP is only trying to elicit sympathy?
I don't think that's true. During the Boko Haram war, we'll call that an insurgency. A war, not herdsmen farmers war. This one is more a civil thing. It's not like when arms were being rolled out, where Nigeria was virtually facing war in like 3 or 4 states. It's totally different than communal crashes. This is a communal crash between the farmer and the herdsman, and life are being lost. It's not like PDP going there to seek public, what do we call it now? Public sympathy. No. PDP went there with genuine mind, knowing that, okay, some persons died, and these people also need a father figure to cry on. They need people that also console them in their trying moment. That's why PDP took that role, to play that role that the ruling party failed to play.
Earlier on, you said that the president is visiting these places rather too late. I'm not in the presidency, but I do know that for a president to visit a location, most especially when it borders on issues that have to do with security or insecurity, now there has to be a kind of an advance party. The president has to send forth some of his security aides to really ascertain the level of destruction and also to give him a feedback report. So don't you think that this period between when the attack was and the president visiting Taraba State, or for the president to start visiting these places now, is probably the time that the president needed for him to really have a first-hand report, an assessment report before he goes on such a trip.
We are not talking about, he's not going there to stop the crisis right now. Is that the essence of the visitation? He's going there to meet the people that lost their loved one. But it's not because he's going there to sit on a panel to say, okay, today, Esme, don't go here, don't come here. He's not going to do that. So there is nothing like trying to go get a report first, see what is happening. That's why I said you have to be proactive as a leader. There are cases that you call an emergency. If the IG of police is there and they also deployed soldiers, even the opposition could, the opposition party could visit. I don't see any report that you are waiting for again. If the governor of a state could leave his own state to another state to visit them, you, the president, that has almost all the securities at your beck and call. So that means you can also move everybody down there and you go with them, knowing that you said you will be at the forefront of everything in this country, that security is going to be your #1 priority. It's part of the agenda.
Yeah, your fire share of Ekiti State was in some of these states, as it was reported in the media. Yeah. But some say that when similar things happen sometime in Ekiti State, that your fire share was not at the same.
No, that's not true. We've seen over time, Ayo with his hunters, taking pictures, sensitizing them on how to go about this. Okay, just point out the local government that there was an attack and that you didn't see Ayo is a people's governor. Ayo you have almost every Ekiti person has his own number. Is that open to them? So I don't see why something will happen where the street man will not be there. He's in the street with them. You will see him playing table tennis today. Tomorrow you see him drinking with them. Next tomorrow you see him buying akara. Why would such person wait when there is crisis? Those are leaders that we should emulate. People that are proactive, people that knows their people that interface with their people. For the past, almost for over 6 months, I've not seen the president. He's not visible. You don't see him. Things are not happening. Business are going down in this country. Security challenges are making people to leave this country. And we still sit down and say, okay, we are seeking for re-election. The same day that this thing happened, the president was sitting in Nassau receiving governor, people endorsing him for second term.
Yeah,
that is a big shame.
I said
it's a big shame. The last time another one happened, I think that two girls that were kidnapped. Yeah, the president went for a wedding. It's none of his business whether Nigeria live or not. That's not his business.
But you can't say so.
His attitude has shown that.
Yeah, Mr. Thaddeus, you can't say so.
If you have an I don't care. If you have an I don't care attitude,
in as much as the president has people that he has appointed to. See, we're talking about the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Virtually, Nigeria is in war. Is at war right now.
Well, that's your own.
Almost every state, there is one crisis or the other. And you see that in the comfort of your house.
Anyway, but let us also look at...
That means the people you've delegated are failed you. So you change them.
But let us also look at it this way. Because we keep on talking about the president, the presidency, the state governors and all that. Now, let's come to us as a people, of which you, as a citizen of this country, you are part of. And also, for me too, I'm part of, the people. Now, some say that what is happening in the country today is probably... an indicator of the fact that those responsible for governance have lost touch with the people. Do you understand? Now, for the president to start embarking on this trip now to really show concern, and just this morning we read on paper that in Benue State about 24 people, just died as a result of another attack. Now, don't you think that we as a people also need to come to really look at issues more critically? That we are killing ourselves here. Yeah, I want you to respond to that.
Obviously, we are killing ourselves. Why? There are a lot of things that could make a man angry. They said a hungry man is an angry man. The country have thrown its citizens into a state of I don't care. The government is not responsible for your shelter. You pay tax, the government does not fix your road. You pay light bill, there is no light for you, there is nobody for you to complain to. There is no water for you to drink. In Nigeria, it's just between you and your God. There is no government in between. Where elsewhere you have you, the government, before your God. There are some things that we pray about that the government should have just handled for us, that it doesn't need to come into your prayer point. I don't know if you get it.
I'm listening.
So that's why you see people angry, people killing themselves, because they are frustrated. It's a level of frustration. You see, like last year, a lot of persons will drive to Third Mainland Bridge and jump into the water out of frustration. Do you know what the level it will take for you to want to kill yourself? That means you've lost hope in everything, including the government, which is the number one thing. So I don't see how. I think we need to talk to ourselves more. That's what we did last week, the PDP. We organized our youth together. We discussed with them what are the problems that you guys are facing. They told us, and we advised them. At least there be somebody that is even giving a guide to people.
Now,
right now, the government is totally disconnected from the people.
Yeah, you said the PDP gathered the youths. You're talking about the youths of PDP.
Yeah, the youth of PDP.
What about other youths?
Yes, that's your primary constituency. I'm a PDP youth leader, so my primary constituency should be my youth first. I wouldn't want any of them to commit suicide based on the frustration that they are putting on them. So we have to discuss with them, know the way forward. Because the way it is right now, there is total disconnect between the government and the people.
Now, in Jalingo, in Taraba State, while the president visited, he urged the traditional rulers in Taraba and perhaps in other parts of the country to make sure that the issue of insecurity should be something that they should be held responsible for. Now, at this point in our lives, the traditional rulers, I think we should start to hold them accountable.
Urging people is not the way forward. In 2014, there was a national conference where everybody came together to discuss about this country. We need something like that right now. We need to discuss on the security of this country. Call all stakeholders. Let's discuss on the way forward. How do we protect this? We are just only urging traditional. What role are you giving to them? The traditional institution is under the government. Have you empowered them to do such things? You've not done anything strategic to prevent these things from happening. The government should take responsibility. The government needs to be proactive. The government needs to do the extra things to ensure that life and property are safe in this country. As it is right now, I can say the government, they are not doing anything. Urging people, visiting people is not even the issue. The issue, what have we done concerning this Fulani herdsmen? What committee have been set up to handle these men? Who are looking into this issue? What are the solutions that have been preferred to solve this thing?
Yeah, but the other day, the president gave a directive that from henceforth, any Fulani cattle herdsman caught with weapons should be dealt with according to the law. I mean, so what else are we saying?
How will you catch these people that are king of the forest? They live in the forest. They don't live here. How many police are in the forest? Those are just wishful saying. That's what I'll call them. They are wishful saying. How do you curtail these people that live in the forest? They could spend 1 year in the forest without coming out. That's their inhabitant.
Now, the issue of insecurity is perhaps is a national issue. In Rivers State, just on the 31st of December last year, a day to this new year, we had people killed. Yeah. That is a PDP state.
But what happened immediately? Immediately that happened, the government called the security agent and said, bring these people.
Now,
dead or alive. I'm saying in less than 2 weeks, they got all of them.
Yeah, but you talked about proactiveness.
That's being proactive.
One would have thought that if we are to have a proactive governance in River State, don't you think that issue would not have happened at all?
There is no way. You are not God that will see the heart of men, that this guy is going to perpetuate evil. You are not God. You are only government. That's why I say you are in between man and God. So you can't see what God can see. But when it happened, you quickly curtail it, and you also ensure that it doesn't happen again. Like when the Chibok girls happened, that was a shame. That was a shame to Nigeria that, okay, we couldn't protect them. But this one that is happening again is a shame on government. Because this thing happened before, and the meaning of Boko Haram is that no Western education. Since you also have school in the north, you should also provide security to ensure these persons are safe. And these are the same Boko Haram that you said you defeated tactically. They're carrying on attack everywhere freely. They drove a long distance. Nobody saw them. There was no checkpoint. It's unfortunate.
So in all of this now, what do you think government should do? I mean, we must begin to discuss issues. Yeah.
Government should set up, there should be a conference where you bring key people together. Security agency, all the security apparatus should be there. Local government institution, major people that control opinion molders in the society. Bring them together. Let's discuss the way forward. We've not done anything and we want miracle to happen. If there is a problem, there should be a solution.
Malam Nasiru El-Rufai of Kaduna State made that suggestion recently when he talked about that we really have to restructure Nigeria.
Yeah.
Now, restructuring Nigeria, we have to mean what you are talking about now, calling everybody together. But your own party, the PDP, was the first set of people to even fought that.
I
mean, restructuring, because if you are saying that we have to call...
Restructuring Nigeria,
no,
PDP has been at the forefront.
Yeah, but when
Jonathan did a confab that was accepted by everybody.
Yeah, when it came from the Kaduna State Governor, Nasiru El-Rufai, why did PDP fight against it?
Because it's like repeating the same exercise that you had before. That's wasting our resources, our lean resources. If you already have this, call people together to look at the confab report and implement the part that you can implement, instead of doing the same thing again. What I'm saying, on security, we have to have a security summit. Restructuring have been dealt with. It captured everybody apart from the APC that didn't come. The whole Nigeria, every person, every interest group, they were all represented in that confab. Why don't you look at it? Look at it, pick out the part that you know is even useful, that is causing a lot of problem, and address these things.
So what you are saying that finally government has to call everybody together?
We have to call everybody together if we must live together as one. Because even yourself and your wife, you discuss always. There are issues that you need to trash out. There are some things that you just say, okay, your wife is being cold today. You call her and discuss with them. That's the same thing Nigeria should do right now. When you see that, okay, there is violence everywhere, you call people together and say, okay, what's the way forward? What's the cause of all this? We've not done anything. We're only waiting for manna to fall from heaven. And unfortunately, manna doesn't fall anymore.
All right, thank you so much, Architect Irabor, for finding time to join us today. Architect Thaddeus Irabor is the youth leader of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State. And of course, we thought that Mr. John Osazoa will come so that he can also be part of what we said here today. Now, we also need to let you know that when we invite our guest here, whatever opinion, whatever view they share is entirely their own view. It does not have anything to do with the station. Thank you one more time. And just as we discussed, talking about the president visiting troubled states, just this morning it came on news that 24 killed, 20 others feared missing in fresh Benue attacks. And we are going to make sure that we follow that, as we go on our news reports on our programs, so that we can inform you and also educate you on all that is happening in the country. My name is Evan Zunukuge.